This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you all for coming again and attending this webinar. As we just mentioned, this webinar should be a short one, maybe about 20-25 minutes. And the goal is to go through the 7 steps that we have sent to each office in terms of how to walk through a care provider who supposedly is using the app, the mobile app, which is option CP, but they are not getting clocked in automatically. So hopefully everyone has the one-page document that is titled Checklist for Proper Usage of Option CP Mobile App. These are the 7 steps that we're going to go through right now. We're going to go through each one, but we're going to kind of role play it a little bit here in the sense that the intent is to really go over this in person, one-on-one with the care provider. When I say in person, preferably face-to-face if they come to pick up their check or if they come because they had a previous arrangement to come and visit with you or you wanted them to come to your office, that would be the perfect time to do it. One-on-one, go through this with them. If they cannot come to the office and you don't want to wait a week or 10 days, certainly this can be done over the phone as well, although it would be more effective if you do it in person. So either in person, which is the preferable method, or by phone should hopefully work for you. So we're going to start, I'm looking at the document now, we're going to start with item 1. It says always bring your phone to work. Obviously that's taken for granted. Yes, everybody should be bringing their phone to work, but every once in a while, if you notice that someone is telling you or has been telling you that they have been using the app on a regular basis, and they may have very well been using the app, but if for some reason one day they don't clock in and clock out automatically, well, the first question we should ask them, well, did you have your phone with you? Did they forget it at home? Item 2 talks about the phone being turned on. Again, basic information here, basic assumptions. Obviously, the phone has to be turned on for the app to work properly. What we have here on the screen is the emulation of an iPhone. This is an iPhone 7. iPhones, the different types of iPhones vary a little bit in terms of the settings and all that, but it should be pretty similar. We wanted to also show you an Android. Unfortunately, we have one here, but we couldn't get it to work with the emulation. So we'll talk about that, but at least we'll show you for sure the iPhone in detail. About 65 to 70% of our care providers own an iPhone as opposed to an Android. So again, the majority of them do have iPhones as opposed to other types. So if you look at item 3 of the checklist, phone must be fully charged every day and especially prior to going to an assignment. If you look at, and I've got a little, I'm not quite sure what it's called, a spotlight here. If you see that spotlight, the red circle, that tells me right there how much charge I have in the battery. It's 58%. You want to make sure that, well, it just went down to 57%. You want to make sure that when the care provider really goes to their assignment, they should plan, especially if it's a long assignment, like a 12-hour shift or let alone a live-in, they really should plan to have that phone of theirs completely charged. I mean, if it's not 100%, that's fine, but somewhere 80, 85% or above would be ideal, as opposed to something lower than that. So that's one thing to look at. And the reason we want that to happen, to be the case, is although the app itself uses about 15 to 17% of the battery charge in a full day, that's with the app running all day long, it will use only 15 to 17% of the battery. And we tested that at the beginning when we developed the app. It was much higher than that, but we optimized the app in a way that it would only use that lower figure, 15 to 17%. If the care provider starts at 50% their day or their assignment, and for some reason they have several apps that are running in the background, it might use up quite a bit of that battery, and you don't want the care provider to be running at about 20, 25%, because especially if they have a long shift, because there's a chance that the battery would die before their shift is over, which means that they will not be able to clock out automatically. So looking at the battery is important. Ideally, we should have it fully charged or close to being fully charged. Let me bring up the app. This is the app itself. And if you look at the bottom right here, it says Option CP version 1.1.1. This is the current version right now. Obviously, as and when we release a new version, we will let you know. But you want to make sure that the care provider has the latest version. If they have version 1.1.0, it's still going to run. It's still going to do many of the things that the latest version does, but there could be one or two or three things that have been modified or enhanced or fixed that will not work properly if the care provider does not have the latest version. So it's very important to make sure that they have the latest version. And it's very simple to find out by simply looking at the bottom of the app to see what the version is. I skipped item 4 and 5, and that was not by design. It's my bad. So let me go back to item 4. Item 4 says that Option CP, which is the app, must be running either in the foreground or the background. And let me demonstrate that. So right now, the foreground means that you see it on the screen, like what it is right now. Okay? If I press the lower button right underneath the Option CP, again, this is for the iPhone. If I press the lower button, which is a circular button underneath that version number, which does not show up on the screen, I'm going to do it right now. It's going to go back to my equivalent, main view on the phone. And I can go around and look at my different apps. But at this point, the app is still running in the background. And the way I find out is if I double click the circular button for an iPhone, again, the one button at the bottom, it's going to show me all the different apps that are running in the background. I have Option CP, I have the mirroring app, which is what's helping me to emulate the phone on the desktop. I have the settings, I have a browser running, and I have the App Store. So all these are running in the background right now, even though I don't see actually the app, Option CP app, in the forefront. And that is okay. The app can be running in the background or the foreground. Either one is fine. Here again, I brought it back to the foreground. However, yes.
I wanted to ask a question. This is Michelle. Do you have to click on the app to get it to go first in the foreground, and then you can let it go in the background? But you actually have to click on it to make it like awake and let the caregivers get accounted for each day or each shift.
Yeah, only if you have closed the app, then yes, you have to click on the icon to bring it back up again, and it logs in automatically. So if your app is closed, yes, you definitely have to press the icon of the app so you can run it and bring it up to the forefront, and then you can put it in the background if you want. The best way to find out if it's running or not is to double click on the lower button, and if you see it in the background like we do here, if one of these is the Option CP app, the CP should be fine. It is running and it will work. But if I swipe this app upwards, I believe it's the same on an Android, but if I swipe it upwards, I'm going to do that right now. If I swipe it all the way upwards, I just did, it closed the app. Right now, that app is not running, and whatever I do as a CP is not going to be captured because it is not in the background anymore. I just closed it. So again, to address your question, Michelle, all I have to do is just go back to the app. I'm going to click on this button right here, the Option CP button. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to just simply launch it again. It's going to bring it to where it was before, and now I can bring it back to the background by simply clicking on the circular button at the bottom.
I say one thing?
Yes.
I know on my Android, every night, what I do is I hit the button on the left. It shows all the apps that are open, like you, and I hit close all apps because it saves my battery, so my alarm goes off the next day. So most people might close all their apps, so they do need to open.
Okay. Did you guys hear that from Carol? Carol is here with us. They probably didn't. Do you mind repeating that, Carol?
Yes.
I always close all my apps at night on the Android. I hit the left button on the bottom, and it shows all the apps that are open, and it says close all. So if I was a care provider, every time I went to work, I'd have to reopen the options app. So some people might do that because it saves your battery at night.
So a solution to that, because if you do have the app closed and you go to work, again, you being the CP, if you do have the app closed and you go to work and you don't remember that you closed it, it's not going to clock you in or clock you out. Even though you have the latest version, all the settings are correct, if the app is not running, it's not going to clock you in. What we recommend is the following, and that is, again, under item 4. The app should be running at all times, even if the care provider is not on an assignment, even if the care provider does not have an assignment. Let's say they're not working for us. The reason being is when you broadcast an open assignment, it goes to a bunch of people, including active care providers and pending care providers. You select who you want to send it to. You have that option. When you do that, if the person who is supposedly to receive that open assignment does not have their app open, they will never learn about that opening. So it makes a lot of sense for care providers, even if they're not at the assignment and even if they do not have an assignment, to leave their app open so that they can get notifications of open assignments. All right.
Sam, will they also not get the notifications of their upcoming assignments if the app is not open?
Yes, if the app is closed completely, they will not get any information about their assignments. The app has to be open. That is correct.
So best practice, just leave it open all the time.
Yeah. And it's really very easy to find out if it's open. Again, just simply go back to those apps running in the background, and hopefully you should see it there. If not, click that button. That's all you have to do. They don't have to log in again. It automatically will log them in. Item 5. It says that the care provider must have a good internet connection, either via a CP cell phone service like an LTE or other, or by Wi-Fi. That question has come up a few times before. So if you look at the very top right here, on the top left corner, it says AT&T, which is the actual carrier that I have on my phone. It has the reception bars there. I have 2 out of 4. And then it's got this little icon, which is circular bars. There's 3 of them. That indicates I am on a Wi-Fi, which is perfectly fine. It will work on a Wi-Fi. Or if I'm not on a Wi-Fi, it will say most likely LTE here, or 3G or 4G, one of those 3. All of those are perfectly fine. And the high majority, if not, I think all of them nowadays, have one of those. I'm talking about the carriers. When you're traveling outside, you're not connected to a Wi-Fi, they will have one of those 3 possibilities in terms of what you could be running, what type of network you could be running, 3G, 4G, or LTE. Now, if, for example, a care provider of yours is going to a care recipient's home where they are in a remote area, and typically reception is not easily obtained in that remote area. I know it's not very common, but it does happen. We have a few of those ourselves. What we've done in those situations is we've asked the care recipient's family, we've contacted the client to explain to them that our care provider has a phone app that we ask them to use, we require them to use, and since they don't have reception at your home, would it be possible for us or for our care provider to use your Wi-Fi just simply to be able to connect to the app? We've yet to see anyone tell us no. Every client is understanding and they tell us that's not a problem. That means they have to give the care provider a password for them to connect to their Wi-Fi. That password, as you all know, will only work in the care recipient's home. So there's no real intrusion whatsoever, and it's only used to run the app that the care provider is required to use when they are at the care recipient's home. So even if there is no actual internet connection via the carriers, because it's in a remote area, that would be just about the only solution that you have, which is a viable solution most of the times. And again, as I said, we've yet to encounter one where the client told us no. The family will cooperate with us on that. Any questions so far? Okay, let's move to the last step, which is item 7, and that is an important step. As much as it may seem to be cumbersome, actually the Android section is longer than iPhone, but these 4 items are for various or different carriers. We have one for Verizon, one for AT&T, one for Sprint, and one for T-Mobile. They vary depending on who the carrier is. We're going to go through the iPhone steps, which are 4 steps, A, B, C, D. They're pretty straightforward, but we're going to show you where they are and how to make sure that we help the care provider set these correctly. And again, I think you will appreciate the idea that doing it in person will be a lot easier than over the phone. So if there is a chance that that care provider is going to be coming to your office, or for some reason you're going to be visiting that client in the next 2-3 days, I would wait and do it when you're in person. That's a lot more effective, much more efficient. So let's go through this. I'm going to read item A. It's a location access that has to be set to always. And it tells you on the steps how to get there. It says first, and I'm going to do that on my phone so you're going to see it on the screen. You have to go to settings. So I'm going to go to my settings. It says go to the privacy option. So I'll go to privacy here, which is right there. This one right there. And then it says to go to location services, which is up there on the top. So I'm going to click on that. And then it says go to option CP. And as you can tell here, there's a bunch of applications here. They all use location services, okay? I'm going to go to these applications that are listed alphabetically, fortunately, because we can find where options is. It's O, so it's going to be a bit beyond the middle, but it's not going to be that hard. There it is. There's options, CP, and it says, item A, 7A, it says that location access should always be set to always. So if I click on that, there's never, there's while using the app, and there's always. Please make sure always is the one checked, not never and not while using the app. That is important. Okay? Item 7B. It says the motion and fitness must be switched on, which is a green button. And it says go to settings, so I'm going to go back to settings here. There we are. And it says go to privacy again, right there. Privacy. And then it's going to say go to motion and fitness. Motion and fitness is at the very bottom here, right there. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to see options right here, and it is turned on. The green button is on. If I have it like this, I just turned off the green button. What that will do is as the person walks around with that phone after it's been sitting around for a while, it will not activate itself. But if we turn it on, the minute that phone is picked up and moved, it will get reactivated. Again, we've had a few instances where this setting was turned off, and believe it or not, when the care provider leaves the home of the care recipient, because the phone has been sitting idle for 2 hours or 3 hours, which is very common, it didn't register them when they walked out. So that setting must be turned on to avoid that problem. Okay, item 7C. It says this is the notifications. It must be switched to green, and we go to settings, and we go to notifications, and there it is, notifications under settings. And then after that, we go to option CP. Again, this is another listing of all the different apps, but that's the notification setting. The first one that we looked at before was the location access. So this is the notification setting. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to options. And here it is. Options is right there. So it says here, go to notifications, go to options, and set the show as banners. To persistent. So see the alerts right here, and there's a banner style. So all these are banners. The three are turned on. One is, what that says is that they're going to get a notification even if their screen is locked. They will get that. They will not miss it. It's also going to go to their notification center, and it's also going to show up in the banner, which is on the very top, if their phone is turned on, obviously, and they're working on some other application. It will still show up. It will override the screen on the very top. So no matter what situation they have, they will get that notification. Okay? And what it says here, banner style, make sure you choose persistent. There's temporary and there's persistent, which means it's not going to pop up and go away 3 seconds later. It's going to pop up and stay there until the user flips it up and takes it away. That's what persistent means. So that's what we want. Okay, so that's under the banner style. Another one is to set the show previous to always. So we go here to the bottom, right here, and if I click on that, there are three options. Always, which is the default. This is, by the way, another notification that I just got, which is the banner notification. And it goes away, but it's still there. It's in my notification area. So the options there are always, which is default, or when unlocked, or never. We want to choose always. Again, that's a preview that that the care provider can see, and we want them to always see that. Okay, the last setting under iPhones is 7D, which has to do with the LTE, and there's a special setting that we need to set on the LTE. And it says to go to Systems, whoa, okay. And it says to go to Systems and then Cellular, which is right here. Okay, click on that. And then it says to go to cellular data options, which is this one right here, the second one from the top. I'm going to click on that. And then it shows enable LTE, which is the very top one right here. I'm going to click on that. And then I also have three options. One is off, one is voice and data, one is data only. So I want to make sure that the system is enabled, especially when we are trying to find out if the care provider walked into that circle, you know, what is called the geofence around the care recipient's home, whether they are using the phone or whether they are using data. We want the ability for the phone to recognize that they have crossed that geofence and then record their clock in or clock out. So that's what voice and data does. In other words, no matter what the person is doing on the phone, including being on a call, it will register their clock in and their clock out. So you want to make sure that the voice and data is checked in this case. Any questions at this point? Okay, the last thing I wanted to mention, which we hinted to at the beginning, the Android section, we will not be able to go over that, but it's really simpler than iPhone, even though you have four different potential situations there. So if a care provider has an Android and their carrier is Verizon, you only need to address item 7 Android A, okay? If they only have AT&T, you want to only address B. If they only have Sprint, you only want to address C. And if they have T-Mobile, you only want to address D. And it's only one setting. The Verizon is the more involved one. The rest are really just going in one area and making sure the setting is as it's indicated here. We have tried this with a couple of branches, and we have seen quite a bit of success, actually. We've tried it in DC and in Northern Virginia, and those that we have spoken with and made sure we were face to face with them, and many of them we asked them to come to the office to do that, and we went through these 7 steps. They were able to connect to the app and get clocked in and clocked out shortly after that. Now, that doesn't mean that the same person who has clocked in and clocked out after we showed them what to do or helped them to see what to do, that they didn't stop clocking in and clocking out. But it could be, again, one of these 7 steps that has not been enabled or followed accordingly. Like, for example, by accident closing the app. Like, for example, by accident running so low on the battery that the phone is going to shut off. So this is a good list to go by and a good list to keep as a reference. And I'm sure we will be using this list. We should be in the future as we get new care providers signed up, new candidates that we interview and we sign them up. We need to do this. And even some existing ones who have been with us for some time, sometimes they may not use the app properly, and we need to remind them of these 7 steps or walk them through it again. So what we recommend is that you do exactly that, what we just went through, with each care provider, preferably face-to-face. And if you do that, we believe that you will see some significant improvement in the number of people who are able to get automatically clocked in and clocked out. Any
Sam,
questions?
this is Tony.
Yes.
Yes. I have a girl that doesn't have any of these servers. No Verizon, no AT&T, Sprint. She's using cellular consumer cellular or something like that. And we were having a hard time getting her Droid uploaded.
Okay, what we need to do in a situation like that, if you have any carrier other than the main 4 that we've listed, please let us know. We will get with our developer. The developer gave us all this information. We didn't know about any of this. And if it's not a national company, I am sure we can contact them, and we know what settings to make sure that are set correctly. So in a situation like that, let us know. We'll get the details in terms of what the settings should be, and we'll get back to you and give you that information.
Will do.
Any other questions? All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the recording here.